Hello, 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 everybody. I am Johnny Christ, and you are listening to Drinks with Johnny. On this very special episode, I am joined by the SoCal punk rock legend, Mr. Joe Escalante of the Vandals. We shared conversation and a few bottles of wine. Before we knew it, over 3 hours had passed. We had covered everything from Joe's childhood, the conception of the Vandals, his time as a TV producer and now writer of Ancient Aliens, Chuck Norris, Fat Mike, and much, much more. So much that I decided to chop our hang into 3 different parts. Today we'll cover how we met on the Warped Tour, share a good story about Good Charlotte out there, majoring in fucking Norse, how Joe came to be in the Vandals as a drummer, and oh yeah, we drink some wine. So enjoy your commute, your workout, whatever it is you do while you listen to podcasts, I won't tell anyone, and enjoy part 1 of the Joe Escalante trilogy. Alright everybody, welcome into another episode of Drinks with Johnny. I'm super excited. I have a very special guest here with me today, my good friend, Mr. Joe Escalante. How you doing today, buddy?
Hi Johnny, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you, man. So, let me start off by just letting the kids know that the last time you and I hung out was with Brooks Wackerman for his birthday.
Yeah,
right?
his birthday at that sushi place in Huntington.
Yeah, and I mentioned that I was starting this show. That was right around the same time, and I asked you if you'd come on later on, and you said of course, and thank you for doing that, obviously. And when we were sitting there at dinner, I realized that I didn't know that much about you, but I've known you for a really long time at this point. You know, we met on Warped Tour. Was that back in 2004?
Yeah, it might even have been earlier. It might have been. When's the first time you guys played the Warped Tour? Do you know?
The first time the other guys did was, I want to say 2001, 2002. When I joined the band, the first one I was on was in 2003.
Now, we were on 2003.
Okay,
or was it 2000? There was one year where I shot you guys for the Warped Tour DVD, and then the next year I got to meet you guys. So there was or the next time you were on, I don't know. But anyways, it's about like that time.
Yeah, it was about that time. Yeah, and I just remember it was super cool. You know, for me, I'm out here. I think I was 19 years old. We're all hanging out, and I'm getting to meet some of my heroes like you and the rest of the punk rock legends and on the Warped Tour. And it also it was a really funny story that happened. We just go right into it. We were actually good friends with these guys, the dudes in Good Charlotte. And there was an incident that happened. You want to tell me your side of that story?
My side of the story with Good Charlotte was, it was the violin player for Yellow Card, and I had a few drinks, and at the Warped Tour, you barbecue every night, drinking every night. So we had a few drinks, and then I think we put on some Good Charlotte style eye makeup, and then our plan was to put on to kind of dress like them, and then go ask them to come and party with us. And it was kind of a drunken.
It started out harmless.
Yeah, it was a friendly gesture. But the kind of friendly gesture that drunks do, that is unwelcome. So if this happened to me, I go, you're a drunk. Get away from me. So we in our rule on the Warped Tour is you don't knock on anybody's bus. Yeah. If they don't want you on their bus, they will lock it. There's usually a curtain where the driver is. You open the bus, you walk in, and then you pull the curtain, and you go, hey, what's up? And then they're like, hey, get off my bus. But usually it's like,
it's pretty campy. It's pretty campy out there.
What do you want? You want a drink? You want a drink? Hey, we don't have anything. Whatever. Anyways, but no one wants to get up and walk down the steps of a bus to let someone in every time. No. So anyway, we open the bus and we march up and we start saying, hey man, why don't you guys party with us? We're 2 drunken idiots. And their tour manager pushed us down the stairs.
A literal push down the stairs.
Yeah, and it was that way, and to us that was great. That was like
that was
awesome.
The reaction you were going for.
I go, that's awesome. We didn't know what was going to happen. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
And the worst would have been like, hey that's great. That could have been awkward. Okay. And then we go, okay, and then we're like, I don't know them. Maybe I don't want to hang out with them all night long.
Yeah.
So it was really it was a friendly thing to be kind of bring them into our fold of drinking and barbecuing there's like cliques at the Warped Tour. And it's like we had velvet rope barbecues that were only certain people were invited to. So we're inviting them to this world of ours, we thought, but we were just two drunks. So then, and I don't know what happened after that. I think I know that we yelled something back. If you don't want to party, if you bad word, don't want to party with us, then the hell with you. Something like that. It was no worse than that. And then the next day, Kevin Lyman made us apologize to them.
Yeah.
And then
what I remember part of it was at one point I believe it was back right before I think we were about to go on stage. We were hanging out with you guys and they rolled up to confront you a couple days later. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, I think I remember something like that, but it was probably cartoonish, and because these were cartoon punks, they were there. I mean, we felt. God bless them for having success, but to us, we'd seen it happen over and over. Bands come in and they rent the Warped Tour audience, they rent the punk audience on their way to somewhere else, and if you can't take a little bit of punk rock while you're there, then it's just sad. Yeah. But no hard feelings on my end.
Still good. Yeah, still good dudes on our end too.
Yeah, and there's it's just if you're famous and you're having mainstream commercial success, dressed like punk rockers, and you're at the Warped Tour, what do you expect's going to happen? Yeah. We could have been like, screw those guys. Let's punch them.
Have fun. You're just trying to have fun. Yeah.
We're doing what's what the Vandals do.
Yeah, and anybody that knows you or knows the Vandals or anything like that would know that it's all in good fun and there's no.
Yeah, our singer was a bit merciless to them on stage, making Good Charlotte jokes.
Do you remember any of them?
They were all stupid. Like, if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna quit music altogether and join Good Charlotte, stuff like that.
I don't think it was the right demographic.
or it was like, I think there was a Geico commercial one, like, that, where they were the butt of the joke, and I don't even remember it, but they were just, we're insecure punk rock people a little past our prime, on that stage anyway. We're just trying to get through the set, and there's a lot of nervous,
and have fun, and
a lot of nervous jokes happening. I think during that, there were years when I did not speak at all. I was like Penn and Teller, in the Vandals, and I think I'd like to say those are the years. I mean, anything you say in the Vandals, our singer doesn't know anything about like just the first rules of entertainment, like improv on stage, where if you're both on stage, you're there to entertain people. One guy says something, the other guy says yes and then says something else, and that's the rule of improv, and that's like a comedy 101 maxim. Yes and, not no but. Like I say something. If I'm having improv with you and I say, hey, I heard that cheese there was prepared by your kid, and you say, yes, and the kid has diarrhea fingers, something like that. You don't say like
diarrhea fingers,
and then you laughed. But in our band, what Dave,
you got to keep going. You keep it going.
Dave, I go, hey, Dave, I heard this cheese plate was made by Johnny's kids, and he'd say, no, it wasn't. I watched him buy that at some stupid store down the street.
Well, that's the end of the story, right?
Yeah, now the story's done. That's what it's like to be in the Vandals on stage. So if you have a zinger, you better zing it out, and it can't involve any cooperation with anyone else in the band. Josh Freese, on the other hand, is in the back just blurting out things to me to try to get me to say them in the microphone to antagonize Quackenbush.
He doesn't have his own microphone?
So he does, but he won't. If a drummer starts telling jokes, it's a bad form. It starts confusing people. Like, where's that coming from?
Yeah, I could understand that. They don't see where it's coming from.
People that do that,
but the drummers also most of the time, from my experience, have like the wittiest humor.
They're very good at. Just this one, although just good at. He's very funny, but he'll just, pull me over and say this, say that. Yeah. So for years, I wouldn't say anything. I would only say stuff off the mic. Yeah. And I would tell hilarious jokes off the mic. In the back, I'm yelling stuff. This is dynamite material. But it's not going over the mic. I'm just doing it for Warren and Josh and Dave. So during those times, I'd like to think I didn't say too many good Charlotte jokes. I feel bad because I used to see them around Hollywood when they were hanging out in Hollywood, but yeah, they're good kids.
Yeah,
we're just searching for material and having a few drinks, and they were the butt of a couple jokes.
Speaking of a couple of drinks, let's get some wine out here and start doing this whole thing.
Drink that wine. And since you're editing this, I don't have to go. He's now walking to the counter, the workstation, let's call it.
Yeah.
And he's pouring the glass in his very elegant, customized Drinks with Johnny wine glasses. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Thanks for being here. This is awesome.
Yeah, this is good. This tastes like it costs money.
Yeah. It costs a couple shillings.
Yeah.
So, you were born in Long Beach, yes?
Born in Long Beach as a resident of Los Alamitos.
Okay.
In a place called Rossmore, which is... Where'd you grow up?
I grew up right here in Huntington, actually.
Okay, so did you ever hear of Rossmore when you grew up? Like,
to be honest, I hadn't.
Yeah, that's where
and I've only lived 20 minutes south of it.
That's it's a little weird, giant suburban suburb. What do you call it? Like a little bedroom community.
Okay.
The first development to have a wall around it. Like they started building, first in this country we had our, people living in the mountains, and then people are living in the cities, and then they start moving out of the cities, and they start making these suburbs, and they build these little houses in the suburbs. And Rossmore is known as the first suburban community with a wall around it. Okay. And it's not a gated community.
It's just a wall around it. Just
this brick wall all the way around it, and then...
Oh, is it something kind of like what you'd see in the Back to the Future movie where he lives in that neighborhood and there's just, has the sign for the neighborhood outside of it?
Yeah, it has the sign. Yeah, it has the sign for the neighborhood. There's not a gate or a guard or anything, but it's just like, you are now entering Rossmore. And then and all the, the houses are... there's the model homes and all these different homes. Anyway, not that exciting, but it's now... When I lived there, it was a great place for like a guy that fought in World War II to buy a home for his new family in the 50s. Now it's like for, hyper-privileged brats.
Okay.
Which have a right to grow up too.
Do they?
Yeah. Do they? And they go to Los Alamitos High School.
Okay.
Where they, become, bros, and the girls have a skank dressing competition every day. Who?
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what's going on. In where I come from. But
if I was younger, I'd be into that.
Right. I mean, who wouldn't?
Getting old now.
Who wouldn't be? But when I'm so old that I would drive by, I go, "How dare these girls in their Taylor Swift outfits? This is disgusting,
terrible."
Yeah, it's awful. But I am really at the age where I go, "You're an idiot." I'm just like, dress modestly. And I go, "Oh, well, I'm 56." That's how I think. But. So I grew up in Rossmore, and but the only hospital was in Long Beach around here. So
okay,
you had to go over there, and lived there in Rossmore for until I was 18 and went to college.
Okay, and where did you go? Where did you first go to college?
I went to UCLA.
Okay, so that's where you graduated, right? With
I had an Old Norse degree.
Old Norse.
That's Viking civilization.
Wait.
Literature.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting major, no? I don't think you're the first person I think I've ever...
You're not meeting one. In fact, while I was there, they dismantled the department and said, you can't really... After I took all the classes, and they just this is kind of a joke. What are we're graduating Old Norse graduates here. What are we doing? So they just said they started cutting back on it and saying you took all the classes and... But I'm not even joking. In my senior year, they go, "This is not a major anymore. You can have individual major or you can have history major. So just pick one."
Yeah,
and I just picked history.
Obviously, this is something that you use in your career daily, having the Norse education.
No, but in those days, I was as a Mexican. it gets worse. Majoring in Old Norse really angered my dad because my dad's like, he saw my Spanish was slipping away, and I'm taking.
But your Norse is getting really good.
Well, I had to take Swedish. I had to take Old Norse, which is the language where all the sagas are written in. Okay. The sagas is this rich medieval body of literature that is during the Dark Ages of Europe. Iceland is flourishing. They're having their golden age of literature. So I never realized that. As an Old Norse major, it's like about year 1000. You're studying all these great sagas. There's amazing stories. I mean, I don't even think you could have the whole black metal scene, which I'm sure you're into with your devil rock here.
Yeah, I don't know.
You wouldn't have that without the tales of the sagas. I mean, this is the swords and the dragons.
Yeah.
And a lot of land battles, but a lot of when they land in Iceland, they find peace, and they try to broker peace between these violent Vikings that are now settling down and starting farms. And there's a lot of murders and revenge and peace.
All the cool shit.
Peace brokering. Yeah, it's really good. It's funny stuff too. And so you get really caught up in it and go, wow, I'm gonna major in this. This is great. You learn how to read them in the original Old Norse. You learn modern Icelandic, and then you go to Iceland for graduate work. I went there to the University of Reykjavik and did some total immersion in Icelandic.
Wow.
Graduate work. No classes taught in English. And right now I can't speak any of it. But at the time, my Spanish was like, falling away, and that's when my dad was pretty pissed. But he just go, you'll pay for it later, guy. And I did. And then I had to build my Spanish back up, and my Spanish will always be Gringo Spanish now because I lost what I used to be able to do.
I had no idea about all that Norse shit. That's pretty incredible. And then, but after you did all this stuff, you learned all the Norse sagas, everything like that. Traveled to,
Iceland.
Mm-hmm. Then you went and decided to get your law degree.
Well, the whole time I was doing that, I thought I would go to law school, and so I wanted to pick a major that would help me go to law school. And everybody in law school has a business degree or a political science degree, like 95% of them. Okay. So I showed up with the Old Norse degree, which is easier to get in because they need more diversity. And so you got a Mexican showing up with an Old Norse degree, you're in. That's what I thought. And it turned out kind of to be that way. But in the middle of that, I thought, let's screw around and tour around with the Vandals. Yeah. So that was the 1985 to I enter law school in 89. So 85 to 89.
You were already in the Vandals when you go to school.
I'm in the Vandals right when I graduated from high school. In that summer, I joined the Vandals, and so the whole time I'm at UCLA, I'm in the Vandals. Very few people were going to college. Yeah, I would go to at UCLA. We had Greg Graffin, and we had the person I would see every day would be Sean Stearns from Youth Brigade.
Oh wow!
So I'd see him at school, and he was kind of.
You guys were going to school at the same time.
He was like kind of not really a bully, like a physical bully, but like just a tormentor. Oh. It's like, hey, heard your stupid song on K-Rock again. That song sucks. That kind of stuff. Okay.
Oh, you're like, I'm real bummed about that.
Yeah, seriously. And Glenn Friedman he was like a famous punk rock photographer. Yeah. Also kind of an a-hole, to me anyway, at school.
You just got shit on at school, huh?
Yeah, it sucked in a way. And then Graffin was cool. But our guitar player, who's from Fountain Valley around here, he went with me, and we kind of drove up together a lot. Jan. He likes to be called Nils, so we'll call him Nils.
Okay, Nils.
So Nils, he went to UCLA. My second year, he started over there. So we had someone to talk to and hang out.
That's cool.
But you're basically parking. Your first year, you're parking like over by Veteran Avenue, and you're walking forever to get to the campus, and you have to walk through the frat houses. Okay. And then if you have...
And you were not part of one of these frat houses?
No, I wasn't, And it was like, they had a lot of fun, whatever I had, whatever weird hair, whatever everything, I had to go through their gauntlet of... Yeah, they had like, hey, you... Devo, what they would say in high school. That's what they would call you. Okay. You would walk down the street, you walk down Los Alamitos Boulevard, and people are yelling... like the hippies. Yeah. The jocks left us alone. They were kind of the allies of the punks in those days at La Salle anyway. the hippies would yell Devo. The ultimate insult they thought they could come up with. Devo! Or Devo sucks. Someone could yell Devo sucks at you if you're walking down the street.
Okay.
That's what it was like.
That's like, oh, what a burn.
Sick burn. Totally called you Devo.
So that's punk rock Joe in high school. And then how did you come to be in the Vandals?
Well, Johnny, quite an interesting story there.
lay it on me, man.
Okay,
I know that the parts that I know is that you were actually a drummer.
Yeah,
and you were coming in and you were going to drum for the Vandals.
Yeah, I learned to play the drums by just playing the Ramones on vinyl headphone, and playing along to it, and then starting it over again, and then I go, wow, I can really do this. With the Ramones are so forgiving. It was.
What was your favorite one to play?
Commando.
Nice. We actually did Commando on stage the first time we played with Metallica. They did a cover.
Oh, they did
we
that?
were opening up for them in Germany, and they said, "Oh, do you guys know the song Commando?"
Yeah.
We're like, "Yeah." So they came out and said, "You guys got to do the backing gang vocals with us on stage," and we were like. It's like the first time we met the guys. Obviously, huge fans. 2006, we got out there and do that.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Good. Bless them for picking that song. That's one of the best songs.
Yeah.
I learned to play the drums, and then but I started a band with some friends in high school, playing covers, and then joined a band called the Naughty Sweeties, and this was a drag queen band, but I didn't even know what a drag queen was. I just met these guys, and I go. In an alley. No. They were like glitter glam rock, but punk. I mean, they were like cutting themselves on stage.
Yeah,
and that kind of stuff. So I go, all right, this is a punk band. I'm just like, I can't believe that I'm, with just a couple months practicing, I'm good enough to be in a punk band.
Yeah.
And so I'm in high school. I live by myself. That's a weird thing that.
You're in high school and you live by yourself? You're not with your parents anymore?
No, they moved out.
Oh, okay.
So one moved out. And then my mom got remarried. Then after a while, she divorced my stepdad, and then just moved out. And everybody moved out.
Wow.
And then, so I'm there by myself from 16 to 18. So I got these transvestites coming over and practicing because I got a 5-bedroom house.
Yeah, so
practice at little Joey's house.
Yeah.
So I never played on stage with them. They just came over and rehearsed, and then I got kind of freaked out because I knew it was coming. I got to wear a dress.
Yeah.
On stage, and I didn't know if that. I just thought this is, is this what happens when your parents move out?
I don't think that's everybody's experience.
You end up in a transvestite band.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't. Somehow I weaseled out.
That works out for everybody.
Very easy to weasel out of things in those days because there's no cell phones. So if you want to turn something off and turn a corner and reinvent yourself, you could go, hide and come out.
The good old days.
Yeah.
Before people ask you over to do a podcast and tell your whole fucking life story.
You can't get rid of the guy. So I was still trying to get into a band, and then the guy from there's a pro skater named Steve Olson.
Okay.
I give him the main credit with starting the whole punk rock scene in Orange County. Why did it get big in Orange County? Because of Steve Olson. He peaked in his skateboard career at the time when Tony Alva was peaking, but Steve Olson became the punk rock upstart and then beat him one year for Skater of the Year. And so now you got the long-haired Tony Alva, who was beat by the short-haired punk rock Devo, Steve Olson.
Okay.
And then punk rock just starts spreading right after that. That's my theory of how this all happened.
No, I mean, you got a good handle on things. I'll follow your theory.
Okay.
So at least for tonight.
So when that happened, Steve Olson calls my sister one day and goes, "Hey, tell your little brother Joey to come over, and he can play drums in my band. We need a drummer." And I go, "Okay, this is it. This is the big break I've been looking for. I'm going to be in the famous Skateboarders band." And he has a band called Butchie and the Hoods.
Okay.
And he also sang for TSOL for the first couple practices when they're trying to find a singer.
Right on.
When they were not going to use Jack, and then they eventually used Jack.
Okay.
So this guy was a legend. I'm going to be in Butchie and the Hoods. I go to his house, and he goes, I go, "Okay, what's going on? Butchie and the Hoods, I'm in. I'm a hood."
Yeah.
And he goes, No, punk rock is over. Rockabilly is king."
Okay.
All right, what the hell is rockabilly?
Now you had to learn a whole new
so he
genre.
plays me all these records. I go, "Oh, I'm kind of into that. I like that. Elvis Presley." All you had to do is say Elvis.
Yeah.
And then, so I joined this rockabilly band called the Aristocats.
Oh, okay.
And we are playing. This is
know the
before the
Aristocats.
Stray Cats. This is before
Yeah.
the Stray Cats had arrived back in the United States from they went over to England. And so, we were playing. Okay, all of a sudden I'm playing in clubs. I'm playing in clubs with old rockabilly cats from the old days that are just like hadn't died yet.
Yeah. Still,
And then the club owners would go, hey, there's a bunch of kids playing this old man music. And then we would get to play with all these legends. And then the Blasters. I played a lot of shows with the Blasters.
Wow.
And then at some point they decided rockabilly's dead. We need to be in a what's that band? The New York Dolls. Is the new thing, Joe.
Okay, so glam rock.
Glam rock. And so I'm like at this, and then I barely faked my way through the rockabilly thing. I wasn't glam rock or New York Dolls material. So
Yeah.
I get booted out of that. And then I'm just hanging around with TSOL in those days, from the very beginnings when they're called the Vicious Circle. And then they broke up and then they reformed.
Yeah.
So just hanging out really at Todd Barnes' house a lot. And these are degenerates, so I'm like, my parents aren't around.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with degenerates.
That's kind of how all of us got into punk, I feel like.
I mean, degenerates can be good friends.
Absolutely.
Take care of you. It's a family, that kind of thing. So Todd was saying, you got to get in a band. You're getting pretty good, we got to get you in the Vandals. The Vandals are existing at this time. And he kept telling me that this guy, Steve-O, hates the drummer. Wants to get rid of him.
Okay.
And so he's saying, I'm telling him he should get you. Then at the same time, Steve-O is calling my sister, who he used to date,
Okay.
saying, why don't you tell Joey to come and play in my punk band? And then she tells me that, and I say, I don't know if it's the same thing. She doesn't say Vandals.
Yeah.
She says Steve-O. So I'm trying to get in the Vandals. My sister's telling me that the Steve-O guy's trying to get me in his band. And I know this guy.
Yeah.
And I don't like him. He used to come over
and
date my sister and come over with like a joy buzzer on and say, is your sister home? I'm Steve.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, really? Oh, my God.
This is the guy that my sister's dating.
Everything. So
this guy sounds awesome.
Yes, I told my sister, I don't want to. First of all, you can tell your friend Steve that he doesn't have a punk band. He has a new wave band.
Yeah.
Because he had like Sammy Hagar hair or whatever, and I'm just like so bitter. I'm so just like everybody's fake punk rock everywhere I look. They're calling themselves punk rock. They're not. That guy, forget it. Mm-hmm. Tell him forget it. And at the same time, I'm trying to get in his band. I did not know he was Steve-O from the Vandals.
That's incredible. So
eventually it
worked out, and you got the gig as the drummer.
As the drummer, yeah.
So before we get on, let's check the next wine.
Okay.
You're looking low. And on that note, I want to mention something else. It's October. Fall is here, Halloween is around the corner. It's my favorite time of year. And I'm in a good mood. So from now till November 1st, I'm giving you free shipping on all your Drinks with Johnny merch purchases. That's right. Head over to drinkswithjohnny.com and use promo code CHEERS to receive free shipping on all orders placed through Halloween. That's Drinks with Johnny at DRINKSWITHJOHNNY.com. Promo code CHEERS to receive free shipping on all your orders. The holidays are just around the corner and they always seem to come up faster than you realize it. So get ahead of them and head over to drinkswithjohnny.com and get your orders in now. Cheers. I see you looking around at the basses in my room.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, you're with the Vandals and you make the transition over to bass.
Yeah, the bass.
And had you played bass before at this point? You
No.
had only played drums and you just looked at those four strings and said, I can handle that.
Basically, the same reason I picked the trumpet in elementary school, because it had three valves. That's it.
You saw the simplicity. You're like, I can handle that.
Saxophone, that looks impossible.
Yeah.
Violin, where are the dots?
So were you pretty good at the trumpet then too?
Actually, much better at the trumpet than I am at the bass.
Okay.
I was.
Well, that's saying something. You're pretty proficient bass player.
I haven't like in the. I can play the bass. I can play our songs. I can play some other stuff. But at the trumpet, for some reason, I thought, I must be some kind of golden child because I pick it up and I'm first chair immediately, and then I'm in the junior high here, which is a really competitive marching band program in the junior high, and I'm first chair in 8th grade, ahead of all the 9th graders. And the guy I'm playing in
trumpet virtuoso.
Yeah,
here.
I'm playing in state orchestras. I'm playing in county symphonies, orchestras. I'm getting recruited for things, and then punk rock came, and my parents moved out, and I ended up I didn't take drugs. I think we can all be grateful that I didn't become a drug addict, but I just didn't go down the normal paths you would go down when your parents around.
I mean, it's good that you had music then.
Yeah, I had a music background, and I thought I could do anything in music. And it turned out awesome. I could never get to the levels on the bass that I did on the trumpet, to where you're like, I'm better than anyone around me. Now, in the bass, I'm just like, barely hanging on. And
don't sell yourself short.
But
I grew up transcribing quite a few Vandals bassline stuff when I was a kid, and there's some really good stuff in there.
Oh, I appreciate that. And some of those are probably ones that Warren re-recorded after I left the studio. But, that's how I learn.
That's fantastic.
So
it's a little-known secret that guitar players will often come in and fix the bass player stuff.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they come in and they just go like... and they're guitar players. So they're just, they're all over the neck.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have done that, but when I tell you what, I'm going to learn that.
Yeah. Who's in the lineup at this point in the Vandals?
When I got in the Vandals, they hadn't recorded anything. They played at a couple parties. I had actually seen them at one party in Rossmore.
Okay.
At a skate. There's a famous skate pool in Rossmore called Cool Mamas on Martha Ann, and they played a party there. And first of all, here's the best thing you're going to find out about the Vandals today. This is the little-known secret.
Okay. I'm very intrigued here.
Steve Gonzalez is the one that reminded me of this when I got together with him recently. He's like, the Vandals is not the band's original name.
Okay.
Before I got in the band, they'd only been around for like a few months, but they had a very colorful career.
Yeah.
They start as a band called the name is Gestapo. From Huntington Beach. So they're part of this dangerous Huntington Beach punk scene in 1981, and they're called Gestapo. Okay?
That's incredible.
And then the first thing they do when you have a band is you start spray painting the name of your band around town.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
You tag everything.
Yeah, you tag everything. Yeah. So they're tagging everything. Gestapo. Gestapo.
I think the police at this point are going, what the fuck is happening around here?
The police? The neighborhood went up in arms, and it was on the news.
No way.
Yeah.
I was making a joke. This is what actually happened. Okay.
It was like there was some kind of World War II resurrection invasion coming to Huntington Beach and Fountain Valley. And they figured out who it was. And then the news even interviewed, I'm not going to say which person's mom, because I don't want to incriminate anyone. Yeah. But they interviewed one of the band members' mothers on TV, and she was like, big deal. Whatever, the kids spray paint stuff, let's with it. I don't see what's the problem with it. That was the essence of her response. Yeah. Then it got even worse.
It got worse.
And so the punishment for the kids were you have to change the name of your band. You can't call it Gestapo. Yeah. So they called it the Vandals.
The Vandals, because you were vandalizing everywhere, calling it Gestapo. Natural.
That was perfect. Thing. Yeah, it was perfect because the guitar player, who's Nils, who's the founding member of the band and designed the logo, he's a smart guy. He's like, all right, you don't want us to we can't be called the Gestapo because we're vandalizing things. Now we're the Vandals. Are you happy? Yeah. So the Vandals.
And you already got free publicity. It's an easy transition right there. Everyone's like, oh, those vandalizing kids. Yes, there we go. That's the smart marketing right there. Yeah. People can learn something from that.
Right. Now change the name of the Vandals, and now we can have a Mexican in the band, and it won't seem so weird.
And in comes Joe Escalante.
Yeah, so I join, and then after Steve Gonzalez quits, soon after I joined, over disputes with the singer Steve-O, who's very colorful, and like I told you, I didn't like him before I got in the band. Yeah. And then I, just learned to deal with him, and then
you just learned to deal with him. You never actually grew to like him.
Well, I was proud of him because he to be a front man in a punk band and take it to where he took it.
Yeah.
He gave it everything. And so he was something to be proud of. But when you're in the band with that guy, it was like when you're on the road, it's like if anybody, I would punch anyone in the face and knock him out if they woke him up.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone wakes that guy up, I will knock you out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when he wakes up, the terror begins. So Steve Gonzalez quits. The drummer had already quit or got fired from a fight with him, and so we start auditioning bass players. We go with Steve Olson comes on board for a little bit. Tony Alva comes on board, and for various reasons things don't work out. He lived in like Santa Monica or Venice, and then Steve Soto. Okay. And after a while, I go, hey, this kid that I went to high school with. Dude can't play the bass yet, really. He's been playing for a couple months, but he is Sid Vicious. And they're like, oh, well, Sid Vicious is very popular. Very popular character in the punk rock pantheon. So let's see this guy. So that was this guy named Human.
Human?
Yeah, Steve. Another Steve.
Another Steve, but you called him Human.
Human.
Too many Steves. You got to come up with something.
Human. Human for short for the Human T-shirt because he made He made a lot of T-shirts. So they go for that, and he's not short on experience, but very punk rock looking. And he did a good job for a while. But eventually he quit because he hated Steve-O.
Sounds like there's a common denominator.
Steve-O was in San Francisco.
Okay.
At a party, and we had a pretty good following in San Francisco. We were out there, and we were in the cool club in San Francisco, because in San Francisco, people didn't know we were suburban a-holes. We went to Hollywood, people go, oh, here comes the suburban a-holes. They're going to wreck everything, which we did.
Yeah.
But in San Francisco, we were just a punk band from Los Angeles. And so we had a lot cooler friends up there. And he wanted to keep that going. Steve did, the bass player. But Steve-O was bringing his birthday clown act to the parties, to the after parties and stuff. Literally, this is what's happening.
That's what he's doing. He's dressing up as a clown at the after party.
So we got Sid Vicious going, look, I'm trying to be Sid Vicious.
Yeah.
And I've got birthday clown. That's the singer of my band. And we'll go, your singer's coming? Yeah, bring your singer to the big, cool after party.
Yeah.
And he's literally doing magic tricks and, the joy buzzers and, cans with snakes coming out of them and stuff like that.
It's definitely not filling in the motif.
No.
motif or the mystique of the Vandals.
Yeah. So that was it. And so Steve Fowler says, it was the Human guy, I got it. I'm quitting. I can't be in this band with that guy. Then he joins a band called Detox, which is 100% punk, but all the people are like him. So he's gone. So then I figure out what we're going to do. What about Chalmer Lummery? He was in a band called The Hated in Huntington Beach. And so we got him. Okay. And then he was in for a while. And then he couldn't take it any longer. He didn't specifically blame Steve-O, but he just that's where the tension was. He was one of the people, we were trying to not wake the guy up. And you know what? You couldn't have asked for a better frontman than a guy who's that explosive and volatile.
Yeah,
on stage, they deliver the goods.
Yeah, absolutely. You need the extrovert. You need the entertainer. What do you think about that tequila-aged wine, by the way?
Very unique.
Very unique. Yeah. The look on your face is not one of pleasure. Just
no, well, it's like I wouldn't crave it or anything, but I'm glad I'm tasting it.
Yeah.
So Chalmer quits. His last show was at a frat party in UCLA.
Okay.
And
Vandals playing a frat party, UCLA.
We played one in UCLA, we played one at USC, and at the end of the set at USC, I think at the end we would play Urban Struggle, which was a K-Rock hit. Mm-hmm. So we have a legitimate radio hit. So we're playing at a frat party, and we have a number one song on K-Rock. So they think they're getting a commercial act here. At the end of this USC show, Human takes his bass and throws it through this big, giant picture window in the old frat house in Los Angeles.
Wow.
In downtown Los Angeles. Shatters it. And I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Well, it is the coolest thing, but I'm just waiting for what the
I
frat
knew we were
boys
not going to
thought.
get paid.
Yeah.
Everything was bad, but I just thought, I can't, I probably at that moment said, okay, great. But I didn't get that mad because it was just awesome. So we need a bass player. And I just come up with the idea. I go, hey, what if we, instead of cycling through bass players, what if I play bass and we cycled through drummers? And Nils says, if anyone deserves to play, I thought he was going to say, Just you don't know how to play the bass. Come on.
Why would you go there? Yeah.
Why do this to the band? Let's get a good bass player. But bless his heart, he said, if anyone deserves to play bass in this band, it's you.
Yeah.
And I go, wow, it wasn't what I was expecting. And so I...
what was your first bass?
Well, at this point, we have Dave Quackenbush as the singer. Okay. So I think I borrowed this thing from him, which was like... It looked like one of those... I forgot what you called the Paul McCartney basses. It was a fake...
Oh, yeah.
Fake Paul McCartney bass.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about. I always forget the name of those ones, too. So, so you got one of those. And what year is this that you're making?
1985.
1985, okay.
Yeah, 1985.
Okay.
And
about how long are you playing bass before
the first show?
First show. Did you do a show first, or did you do an album first, or an EP?
I played a show for about 3. Well, I played maybe a couple months. Played a show, and then we're making an album. We got Quackenbush. The reason why we have Quackenbush is because we're in San Francisco again, and we have another radio hit, "Lady Killer." So
fantastic song.
So this is our second radio hit. But only in LA and San Francisco and a few places. They didn't have a machine like they have now.
Whereas,
if you had a K-Rock hit, it's going to be a hit all over.
A lot of places,
There, it was just like, oh, it's a big deal. It's a hit here. There's no radio promo thing. There's no nothing. So you just have these hits wherever they kind of luck into it. So in San Francisco, we're playing a big commercial radio show. Things got really bad with the singer. He was taking a lot of drugs. And
that's unfortunate.
And a lot of alcohol. And then he had to, then we had to do an interview on Live 105 with Jed the Fish. So he was up there Jed at that time. And he's got probably some good stories about this. The singer, like I don't want to pile on him, but I mean, I got to say, he did his job as a singer. He's a legend. And in the same way, Sid Vicious and Johnny Rotten are legends, but the other guys in the band are saying, well, that's great, but he did this and he did that. Mm-hmm. But everybody's different. So he was saying the weirdest stuff to people on the phone when they were calling in. And people are calling in like, oh my God, Lady Killer's my favorite song. You guys are playing tonight. And then he would dive in with stuff. I don't even want to say it. Like, I don't want to repeat it on the air.
Is that bad?
Yeah, it was just really bad. And then I'm starting to like yell
Super
at
offensive bad?
Yes, offensive.
Offensive bad,
Yeah,
okay.
Offensive. And I'm like, you can't talk like that to young girls that are going to your show. And then it got worse. Finally, we just cut the interview short, and we get him in the van, and I drive him back to the Stone we were playing on Broadway, and that was a place where Jerry Garcia was playing, the week before. It was just one of those places I never thought we'd play there.
Yeah, reputable club.
Because we were playing at Mabuhay, and the off Broadway, or called the on Broadway, and the Mabuhay were the punk places that we would play up there. And now we're at the Stone, and we have a radio hit. We're making a ton of money, and then he says. Stuff on the way home. He's like getting in fights with people out the van window, and I thought I'm gonna get my ass kicked. And then we get to the club, and then he the night before he had passed out on stage, and at the Keystone, in Palo Alto, the promoter said you'll never play here again because he passed out after like 6 songs.
No, he couldn't even finish the set.
Couldn't finish the set, and we have hits to play.
Yeah,
and the radio audience is there, and then. Second night, same thing happens. But first, before we goes on stage, he says, I have to have drugs.
Okay.
Or I will not play.
Right.
So I had to go out in the city and find him drugs, which
you had to do.
Yeah, I never bought drugs before. I didn't know how you did it. And but I knew that we had a big show, and if this guy didn't have drugs,
it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, it wasn't going to happen. He wanted speed. And I'd seen people offer me speed every 20 feet out there, so it wasn't really that, I think I know how this works.
Yeah.
So I went out and I got some. I bring it and give it to him. He has a fit. I mean, he's like lying prostrate, saying I'm not going on. And then he sniffs it or whatever, and then he says it's fake. And then he's enraged because he says it's fake, and he says,
"Shit, man!
Find the guy who sold you this because it's fake, and bad things are going to happen if you don't bring that guy to me." I go out in the street and I find the guy. And I convince him. I say, you want to go backstage?
Yeah, that's how you're going to get him back there.
I don't know how I got him back. But somehow I got him back there. But I am assuming, I must have said something like that. So he went back. He yelled at him and they, had their conversation. But then at this point, he's up enough to, he's up. He's energized. He plays the show, passes out after.
So obviously it wasn't that fake. It was just.
I don't know.
It wasn't what he was looking for.
I don't know. But he gets on stage, plays the show. but only plays a few songs and then passes out. Same thing. Promoter says, brutal. You'll never play here again. You did it last night. You did it tonight. Here's your money. Screw off. Yeah. And I go back there but I got a lot of money, so I'm kind of happy.
Yeah, you're like, hey,
we didn't have an agent. We had no. I had to settle the shows.
You're doing all this yourself, right?
Yeah, I don't miss those days. And then I get back there and he's punching holes in the walls, doing that whole time thing and destroying everything. And I go, hey,
well, that's gonna come. That's gonna come out of our money.
I go, look, we just got this much money. Now you're doing this. You know what's gonna happen? And he goes, all right, then Then all of a sudden he's gonna get me, and then he's got his hands around my throat, and I'm on the ground, and I'm getting strangled. And
Jesus.
Someone pulls him off me, and then I just say I quit, and then we left him up there. He just said he was such a mess. The local San Francisco people said we'll take him, and we'll sober him up or whatever, and we'll somehow get him home because everyone was so mad at him. We weren't going to take him with us.
So you quit, but I mean, obviously Jan was real quick to be on your side right after that.
Yeah, he says I don't blame you, whatever. So we drive home, and then Jan comes up with the idea of getting Dave Quackenbush. And he says, what if I can get Dave Quackenbush to be in the band? Will you stay in the band? And I said, that's not a bad idea. That guy's awesome.
Yeah.
He was in a band called Falling Idols. And he was just, the front man that we always wanted. We actually said to each other, wish we had that guy.
Yeah.
But grass is always greener or whatever. But Steve-O did a lot for us, and so we can't really complain. We wouldn't have been the band that Quackenbush wanted to be in without Steve-O.
Yeah, no,
and so
without Lady Killer.
Yeah. So I told Jan, I go, you know what? Let me call Quackenbush because I know him pretty well. So I go, let me call him, see if he wants to do it. So he did. He said, yeah. First he said no because you can't have this band without Steve-O, so don't do it. And then I told him the story, and he goes, wow, that sucks. I goes, we're going to do it anyway, or there's no band.
Yeah.
So he agreed.
Give it a shot.
And then we did that, and then after that, I ended up at some point, Chalmar quit, and then and he said I could play bass. I played bass, and then after I got off the drums, we got this guy Doug McKinnon. He played for a while, and then he was over it, and then that's when Josh Freese came.
And that'll just about do it for part 1 of the trilogy with Joe Escalante. But don't worry, we'll have part 2 coming your way Wednesday morning with more on Josh Freese, Warren Fitzgerald, and a couple more drinks. So mark your calendars or just hit the subscribe button on the podcast and it'll automatically appear in your library for your listening pleasure. And be sure to check out all of our episodes on drinkswithjohnny.com in the archive and on YouTube at the Avenged Sevenfold channel. We'll see you next time. Cheers.